What up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and we are here today, you guys, with a brand new review for the Braxtons season one. This episode was titled Family Legacy. Now, you guys, before we go ahead and get into it, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel and you guys aren't subscribed yet, then I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and then having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, and sharing the video, you guys. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let's discuss this episode of The Braxtons, shall we? All right, you guys. So before we do jump into it, I will say that this episode right here, I actually kind of felt the way about this episode because I was just watching it and I was like, ugh, there were some things that I just did not like. And we'll talk about it as we get into it. But the first thing that I want to talk about that I did not like, and this came after last week's episode, was that whole, I don't know if they did a live with each other or if it was a pre-recorded thing that Trina and Vaughn did last week. And I saw the clips of it, and the way that Vaughn was talking to Trina, it didn't sit right in my spirit at all. Him talking about the fact that he doesn't care what people think, that's fine and dandy. But my problem with Vaughn is you had an issue with Trina grieving the death of Gabe, her ex-husband, who she was with for years. You even said it. He raised those boys as if they were his own. So Trina shared a life with him, raised her kids with him. So you felt the way about her grieving him. And here's the thing about her grieving him: he's deceased. He's not coming back. So he's not a threat to your marriage. Your relationship or your marriage. So I didn't necessarily understand that. But then the way he was just talking to Trina in that video, I just didn't like it. And you guys can tell me what you guys think. But that's really all I got on that aspect. Now we get into this episode, and I've said it once and I'll say it again. When it comes down to this whole fourth wall thing with the Braxtons, I'm not necessarily feeling it. It's not for me. It ain't for me. I don't really rock with it. If you guys do, then it is what it is, right? But the whole fourth wall thing, I just be like, this is a little cringy to me. But it is what it is, right? So Trina, Tawanda, Sean, as well as Vaughn, they're down there they're up in the DMV area, right? And so when I looked at Sean, I was like, oh, Sean up put on some weight. But it is what it is. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna go karting, but they're also gonna have a family dinner with little Kevin, and just rally the family around him, so to speak, right? Now, this is another situation where I said the way that Vaughn talks to Trina, it just it doesn't come off right to me because they were talking about him, and he can't even say that he lost his wedding ring. It's like, sir, you took your wedding ring off, you put it down somewhere, you don't know where the wedding ring is. What does that then mean? That's right, you lost your wedding ring. But hey, that's all I gotta say. He I even put it right here in my notes that Vaughn just gives me bad vibes. It's just something about him that I just can't really quite shake, and I don't know what it is. But hey, if Trina's happy, then that's really all that matters when it comes down to it. If Trina's happy, then Trina is happy. So we move on, and Tony was in the car, and she was on the phone with Trina, right? So there's a rift between the sisters and Big Kev, right? And the thing is, they're saying that Tracy did not want a funeral or anything, like that, right? But Big Kevin decided to have a funeral for Tracy. Here's my thing. Yes, the sisters can feel how they want to feel about that, and I'm not gonna negate their feelings. But at the same time, I also kind of feel like y'all are negating Kevin's feelings. If he wanted a celebration of life for his wife, why is that so? Like, that is his wife. And again, I get it, that's your sister. And it just, I don't know. I don't know, because I've never been in a situation like that. But I just don't. It's weird when it's kind of interesting when you think about it. So, like I said, there's a rift between Big Kevin and the girls, right? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about some stuff, other stuff when we get down to it, right? So the only person who seems level headed in this is Tony, because Tony was like, we don't really know what the conversations were that Tracy had with Kevin. Like, and that's the truth. You don't know the ins and outs of their conversation. Yes, Tracy may have said some things to you guys, but she also could have said some things to her husband as well. I mean, she's been with the man for years, so she knows how her husband operates. And she probably, I mean, so we don't know the logistics and we don't know the conversation. But Tony feels like they should sit down and talk to him. Trina says, not going to happen, right? And I was like, you know what? God, I just, this is a terrible situation to be in. Like, so terrible. And then it gets worse as the episode goes on. And I'll give my thoughts and opinions about that too as we get deeper into the episode. So we then see after that Trina, Vaughn, Sean, and Tawanda, they all went go karting, right? Trina, without a doubt, sucked doing that go karting. Tawanda came in third place. Sean came in first place, and Vaughn came in second place, right? And so they sat down, and Trina was asking, what's his name, Sean, about when is he gonna marry Tawanda, because you guys remember that I think it was the last season of Braxton Family Values when Sean sat down with Mr. Braxton, asked for Tawanda's hand in marriage, and he gave his okay, right, but that was 2020. And the way I'm looking at this show, I think this stuff was just filmed a few months ago in 2024. So we are 4 years later. Now, what I will say is I absolutely did agree with Tawanda when she was talking about the fact that she ain't gonna push Sean to do something that he is not ready to do. I was like, I respect that, because whenever you see, I always find it kind of cringy when you see women who ask men to marry them, or women who get down on their knees and propose to a man, or a woman who continuously asks a man, hint at a ring bit on her finger, and it's just like you can continue to hint at it, but until he's ready to do it, it's not gonna happen. And if you force him, like, you're gonna have issues in your relationship, because that's gonna harbor resentment. So, you know, I agree with Tawanda in that aspect. I absolutely did. So then after that, we move over to Tamar. So we see Tamar. So Tamar was, I forget the name of that podcast, but I remember when Tamar did that podcast. That's the podcast that got her ass in trouble, because this is right after Beyonce released Cowboy Carter, and when Tamar made that comment that everybody knows was about K Michelle, when K Michelle read her ass. So this was that podcast. I noticed that I don't know. No, let me say this real quick, real quick. I did not watch that podcast. I just saw the clips that were on social media, and the more notable part of the clip was the one of her talking about the country music artist, right? That is the only thing that I know about that podcast. Other than that, I don't know a damn thing about it, right? But what I will say is, seeing Tamar in this light, like, I can take Tamar in this in small doses, number one, and in this light. But she also did make some comments about her. Like, here's the thing: she made the comments about her sisters. Girl, I think the most toxic thing in your life is that wigger you with that look like Colonel Sanders. I think that's the biggest contention in Tamar's life, but she gonna stay with him. If Tamar likes it, I love it, and that's her business, right? She talked about her mental health and her therapist and all that kind of stuff. Now, what I will say, Tamar, this is no slight, no shade to you. Whoever your therapist is, you might want to fire them and get a new one because I just don't think that they're helping you. I don't think that they're helping you, especially after the stuff you pulled, what now, 2 weeks ago. You might want to go find a new therapist. Fire that person, say, it's been fun, but we got to cut this because I don't think that that therapist per se is helping you. Those are my personal opinions. You guys can agree or disagree. Um, but yeah, like I said, watching Tamar in this podcast, I can take her in small doses. The more when it comes to Tamar, I realize I can take Tamar in small doses because seeing her plastered all over social media and then on the show, I don't need the Tamarisms. We've dealt with them. I'm good on them, and it is what it is for me. So then after that, we moved back to the DMV, right? So we see as the family sat down with Lil Kevin. Now, I I watched every season of Braxton Family Values. When I say every season, every damn season. I never remember. I always knew about when Mikey, his sons came. I was like, his sons? I always thought it was just the girls. Because, the daughter that passed away that Tracy was close to, and I think it was another daughter. I did not know nothing about no damn sons. But hey, he got two sons. I was like, okay, cool. So this is the part of the episode where it started to go downhill for me. It didn't immediately go downhill, but it quickly went downhill, right? So little Kevin asked Tawanda and actually asked everybody, but Tawanda, Trina, and his grandfather, how they're dealing since the passing of Tracy, right? And they gave their answers. Tawanda's still talking about the fact that she feels like Tracy is still here with her, which I agree with that. I do believe that our loved ones, although they may not be in the physical realm with us, they're still very much so around us and with us everywhere we go, right? So then Mr. Braxton talked about how he misses Tracy because Tracy was text him in the mornings and she would send him some stuff, so he just misses that, right? And when it comes down to little Kevin, he talked about his divorce. He did talk about his relationship with his dad. I'll talk about that in just a minute. But I realized in this scene that he was trying to keep a strong face on because he was also talking about. They also said that he could come to them, and he was talking about what about him as a man. And I was like, ooh, I was like, I think he's I think he's hard, keeping stuff in, bottling stuff up, and keeping stuff in because he reminds me a little bit of myself when my mom passed away, and I think he's just bottling stuff in, and I think it would be beneficial. Like now, I think he could also benefit from speaking to either Spirit or someone like Spirit because you know it's a hard thing when you're your parents' only child. Excuse me, y'all. Because I was my mom's only son and her only child. So I know exactly what he's feeling. And so I think he needs an outlet for someone to be able to just talk to him. That's what I think. But then we get into the issues briefly with his father, right? So his dad has an issue because in Tracy's will, I guess she made little Kevin her executor. So he carried out her wishes and everything. And so I guess Big Kevin feels a way about that. Here's my thing when it comes to that. If Big Kevin does feel a way about Tracy making Little Kevin her executor, that has nothing to do. He can't control that. That was something Tracy did. So I honestly hope that they can get past this stuff. I really truly do. I hope they can get past it. So then we move back over to Tamar. So Tamar went to go work out with her assistant. When that boy was jumping rope and hitting that punching bag, I was like, "Sir, who taught you how to jump rope? You look like a kid who just learned how to jump rope for the first time." And then hitting that punching bag, he was windmilling. I was like, "Oh my god!" So Tamar's talking about writing her, doing her music. She's almost finished with her album and her book, right? She said that she's gonna be, you know, authentically real in this book. And I was like, okay, cool. Now, like I said in the last review, when it comes to a book from Tamar Braxton, I won't be, I have no intentions of reading it because I'm sorry, but there's, I like Tamar again in small doses at this point. But when it comes down to Tamar, there is no way in hell I could read a book from her, read a book, listen to an ebook, none of that. Especially when it's when it's a self help book, because I still think Tamar needs to work on herself. Like there are a lot of things that I think Tamar still needs to work on, especially in this in this whatever relationship she got with that Wigga. Like there's some stuff that you need to work out with yourself before you even try to sit down and think about writing a self help book. But set yourself up, Tamar. Do you? So then this is where the episode lost me. So Trina and Big Kevin, not Big Kevin, Little Kevin, they sat down with the family attorney, right? Now I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna leave it at this. I know that they say that they're doing this show to tell Tracy's story, right? That's cool. I don't have a problem with them telling Tracy's story because Tracy is not here to tell her story. But when it comes down to this, it's a weird look to me, right? We don't. Let me. When it comes to the kids, we only see little Kevin. We don't see Trina's sons, Caleb and what's the I forget the other one's name. We don't. I know. I think we'll see them next week when they go out, and she's asking for grandkids, right? But for the first four episodes, it's heavily focused on little Kevin and Tracy. Again, I will repeat. I know one that they're dealing with the loss of their sister. I'm not upset about that. Number two, I know that they're saying that this is what Tracy wanted, right? But it just to me is so weird. Like y'all are solely focusing on little Kevin. Again, I get it. He lost his mom. But I don't know if this was the best idea. I feel the same way that I felt when Pat Houston had their reality show on Lifetime after Whitney Houston passed away with Bobby Christina. I felt that that was too soon for her to do that. Just like I feel like this is too soon and too fresh for little Kevin. Yeah. And this is coming from someone who has lost a parent. My only parent that I know. Well, not the only one that I know because I know my biological mother, but the one that I grew up with. I couldn't imagine myself hopping on no reality TV show talking about the passing of my mom 2 years in, because 2 years in, I was still an emotional wreck. So I cannot, and so that's why I say it the way I'm saying it. This is coming from someone who has lost a parent. You know what I'm saying? So you guys can let me know what you guys think and feel. But, you know, the attorney just basically let them know that Tracy was of sound mind when she made the will. So this wasn't like this was in her last days that she made this will. And like I said, he also said that he recorded Tracy because that was something that she agreed to. I just I have my feelings about this. I really do. But I want you guys to tell me what you guys think and feel in the comments section, you guys. And then at the end of the episode, we see as Trina went back to have a conversation with Tawanda, Vaughn, and Sean, right? And it came up that production wanted for little Kevin and Mr. Braxton to sit down with Big Kevin. Baby, Tawanda had really hard feelings toward that. She did not want them to sit. Well, she didn't want to give him any light on this show, and it's just like, oh God, I don't know how I feel about this, that part, because it's like, let me. Here's the thing, and I always felt this way watching Braxton Family Values. From the outside in, when we looked at it, it always looked like Tracy and Big Kevin had a great relationship. Now we don't know the ins and outs of the relationship because we weren't there every day. But the relationships that we do know weren't good. Tony, Tawanda, Trina, and Tamar, all four of them are divorced from their first husbands. All four of them. Trina's on her second marriage that doesn't look that good. Tamar divorced Vince because, remember, I forgot, Miss E, when she was doing that, when she did an interview where she was talking about that Vince was abusing Tamar. Tawanda left, oh God, what was her ex-husband? I forgot what her ex-husband's name was. But none of them are with their husbands. They've all divorced them. Tracy was the only one that was still married. And again, like I said, we don't know the particulars and the ins and outs of Tracy's relationship. But that is all I got, you guys. Let me know what you guys thought of and think about this episode in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications, share the video, you guys. Until the next time, stay safe, take care of yourselves, wash your hands, be blessed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.